Life is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift back to God. Well, in a world where challenges are plentiful, it's easy for us to feel discouraged. Yet with enough guidance and support, most people can achieve more in life than they ever dreamed possible. Well, beyond your fears is everything you ever dreamed of. Well, the Dr. STEM Show will give the voiceless a voice and the hopeless hope. And now, here she is, Dr. STEM.
Hello and welcome to the Dr. STEM Show. Before we begin, let me tell you about the Empowerment Academy membership program that I just finished creating. This is an answer to all of you that have been asking, how do I deal with the stress, the anxiety, the depression, and most of all, how do I move on? I have created programs that have videos, audios, and ebooks that you can access 24/7 with a membership fee of only $27 a month. Join the program at www.drstemi.com. Let's begin the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another segment of the Dr. STEM Show. I know this one is going to be very empowering, inspiring, and encouraging because my guest does that work that is close to my heart, one of my passions, working with teenagers. His topic that we're going to talk about is strategies for parenting and connecting with teenagers. I want to welcome Mr. Bernardo Salcido to the show.
Thank you, Dr. STEM. Thank you. Hello, everybody out there. Yeah, that's exactly the topic of today's message, is just how to connect with teens and some strategies that have worked for me. And before we get started, Dr. STEM, thank you so much for letting me be on the show. Your work is amazing. And I'm laughing because 20 books plus, I barely started my first one, and now you're way surpassed on me. So if I can learn something today, that would be great.
You're right. No, thank you. So before we start, sir, I know you are a teacher, and now here you are motivating and inspiring not only teenagers, but their parents. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've been in education for 20 years almost. I started out as a teacher just doing science. I have 2 kids of my own and married for 18 years, and that's fantastic. Had a great Father's Day, so happy Father's Day belated to everybody out there. I know mine was good. It was a great experience. We took the kids for a hike. So that's a little bit about me. I love the outdoors. And like I said, just kind of got into this thing with education. That has been a passion of mine from the beginning.
So you taught science, right? Life science?
Yes. So I taught life science for a number of years in middle school and in high school. And then just recently started doing administration. I never thought I would go into administration. That was never part of the goal or plan, but got a real interest in it recently. And so started doing administration. And next year, I'm lucky to say that I'll be a middle school principal.
Whoa, congratulations.
Thank you.
You see, this is the thing about working with teenagers and parents, right? And I don't know if you agree with me. Today's teenagers, they are not that, do as I say generation. They are do as I do generation. You have to mean what you say and say what you mean. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of how I was growing up, and that's how my parents were as well. But this generation, they really value that you care for them. That I know you in your book, Connecting with Disconnected Teens, I love that phrase. I actually have it right at the beginning of my book as well, as teens don't care how much you know, right? They only care about how much you care about them. And that's definitely the case, especially in today's culture, today's society. The teens growing up today, they don't care what degrees you have on the wall. They don't care what school you went to. When you walk through that door, they can catch it really quick. If you are in it for them, if you're in it for the right reasons, man, they can smell it, they know it, and they want somebody to care for them. Really, that's what they want.
You're right. And you know what, the example also, you're very right about them seeing you from way far. I used to say that, to people and parents, and I said, it's not that your teenager hates you or is now hateful. teenage years are meant for them to differentiate and separate from parents anyway, so they can start that individuation and processing who they really are and truly are. So in that, their heart will tell them whether you also are connected to yourself, and not ask them to connect with you when you're not connected to yourself.
Absolutely. Definitely. I know that's a hard topic, and that was really hard for me, not as an educator, but as a more of a parent. And that transition from when the kids are really young and they really needed you and they were dependent on you, and then progressively them moving away and feeling that disconnect. So I had to figure out a different way to get that back and get that relationship back, because they were just growing in independence and trying to show me that. But that mentality from where I used to be with the kids was different. So yeah, you definitely mentioned something that's very difficult, as especially for someone with a brand new teenager, of where's my baby? How come they don't want me to hold them anymore? How come we're not walking hand in hand anymore? It's very difficult.
You're right. And that's gets us into that discussion of, you are a teacher and now you are an author. How do you transition? What made you transition into that? You're still teaching and now you'll be going into administration, but now you're on Instagram and social media talking about this. How did this all start?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story, because I've never been tech savvy or into social media, but two things that happened. So I've been watching my kids grow up, and absolutely I love them, but I've been telling them a lot, you got to get creative. You got to get out there and do something new, something where people can aspire to do what you're doing. But then as I started to see that, and it wasn't really gaining traction with my teenagers, I realized as I looked inside, I wasn't being a good role model. I wasn't going out there doing new things. I was doing my teaching thing, and granted, I'm a great teacher and I love teaching, but I wasn't going outside those boundaries like I was asking them to do. I wasn't walking the walk. So that was one of the first things that said to me, hey, you need to be doing something your teenagers can follow and respect. So that was the first thing. And then another thing was what caught my eye for administration, and then reaching out to people, sharing my experiences. I had actually it was my last teaching evaluation, and class was going to get started in a little bit, and I thought I had it dialed. I had all the kids ready to go, but then in walks this kid, boom, he hits the door. He's just full of energy. Right then and there, we had two choices, right? Take it the right way or take it the wrong way. And so I just engaged him in conversation, took him outside. Hey, what's going on? How is your day going? What do you need from me? So I was able to de-escalate that situation. When we walked back in, he was a model student. My principal, whenever we had our post-conversation, he said, you know, that what you did in that classroom was amazing. I'd never seen anything like that. You have such a natural gift. And I had never seen it from that perspective. And that really put a smile on my face. And I said, you know, why can't I share these things? Why can't I just reach out to people and share my experience, so a parent doesn't have to go through this over and over and over again and do the wrong thing? Why don't you just teach them how to do it right from the first and just share those passions? So kind of a combination, the whole social media thing, because, you know, I needed to walk the walk as a parent, but then also just from my educational experience and then sharing that with teachers and parents.
You know, that is the most beautiful answer that I have heard. And thank you for taking that leap and also taking that risk. Because yes, that's what we do. We're always telling these young, teenagers to take a risk, to do something new. And yet, like we said before, they are a generation that is looking at, so what are you doing? I haven't seen you do anything. And that's true.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what I like about what you're doing is as you go into the middle school, and they're all over social media. So for all of you parents that are still going, I don't allow my children to be on social media, even middle school, they have profiles on social media and they are there. But the thing about it is it's spreading like wildfire. That guess what? Mr. Salcido is on Instagram. Did you see him?
Yeah. Did you see that video? I saw him over there. Yeah.
You are actually going to be able to impact them more on your social media platform than you can even do in person. The reason why they're going to be drawn to you is they can see that you are not afraid to connect with social media, which is what, and how they are connecting today. So as a result, when they see you in school and, they want to be part of the celebrity, because now you're on social media, you're a celebrity. Right. So they want to be a part of that and say, yeah, that's my principal, I know him. And we got them. Now we can talk to them about values. Now you can talk to them about coming to school and focusing in school, because they know that you understand them.
But there you go. You said it. Absolutely. Whatever it takes to connect with them, whatever they like, getting onto their level, definitely. And right now, today's teenagers, technology is big. So this is going to be a huge boon. And then being able to use this to then instill those values that I want to see in those middle schoolers.
You're right. So then, being a parent yourself and being a principal and a teacher yourself, right? One of the things that I'm seeing is probably how much of an example you are to the parents themselves. So maybe, you can share with us one parenting story that sticks out to you.
Definitely. As a parent myself with my own 2 kids, one story definitely sticks out to me. My wife and I were traveling. We were in Italy. We're out there, Venice. You got St. Mark's Basilica. You got the church. You got the clock tower. So you can picture this beautiful setting. And out walks this teenager out to his family. Looked like an American kid. He is excited. He is jazzed. He is ready to go. He had just bought his first bottle of water using euros, probably talking whatever broken English, Italian to the store owner, right? So he walks out, and the dad has this amazing opportunity, and he just lets it slip. He really does. Instead of congratulating his son, patting him on the back, you know what the dad does? He looks at his son, he goes, hurry up, we got to go. We got to get out of here. Like, wow. And that story just sticks with me, right? Every day we have the opportunity as parents, as educators, to impact kids. And if we don't take the time, those small little moments, those opportunities that are there for us to impact them in the right way, eventually they're gone. So it was really frustrating. So the dad goes on, and so the kid starts to drink the water bottle, and he's like, hurry up, drink it. We got to leave. And it just really had a negative impact on me. He said, I can't do that. If we need to stop and tie our shoes, we need to do that. If we need to slow down and just talk about this right now, absolutely. As a parent, that's huge. Take the time, those little opportunities that you have, those little moments where you can really impact kids. You got to slow down and take that time.
Wow. Thank you for that story. Isn't that amazing? Because then, you know what? When somebody's listening to it, it just sounds like a small moment where a parent wants, okay, we got to rush, we got to go. But as you're saying, watch every moment, because every moment that might be little to you is huge for your teenager as a way of connecting, on just saying, oh, wow, you were able to communicate with them. Did you speak English, or how did you do it? And
yeah, how did that work? Tell me about it.
And that's connecting. So you're very right. So, part of that is for parents. And one of the, trainings that I do now is on mindfulness. Your story that you just shared, it reminds me of mindfulness, that many a time we are not mindful of the moment of where we are. We are thinking ahead of where we want to go. We are thinking ahead of what needs to be done, rather than enjoying that very moment and being in the moment and being mindful of the moment. Right?
Definitely. Yeah. We're waiting for our teenagers to grow up and get out of the house. But when they do, what is that relationship going to look like, right? It's the time that we spend right now being mindful of the moments that we have with our kids, even though they're difficult to work with at times. Yeah. Being mindful of what's happening right now and taking advantage of that.
You're right. You're right. So, talking about that too, and I know, you probably might not, is there a teenager that you've worked with, that you just remember also having this, aha moment in your 19 years? Because that's a lot of years.
That is definitely a lot of years. I've really loved it. And I love working with kids. It definitely is keeping me young and keeping me energetic. There is a time that it's one of those things where you never know what's really working until it works. And there was a student who was in my class, my science class for It was 2 years in a row, actually, because I taught freshmen and then I taught sophomores. And just one day, randomly, he comes in at lunch and we're talking. He goes, I just got a really bad situation. Can I talk to you? And it was the relationship that we had built over those years, right? Where I respected him and he trusted me. But you can never really see that until he came in on his own time and said, hey, what would you do in this situation? My dad's having some problems. How do I navigate this situation? Do I stay at home? Do I go to a friend's house? And that really impacted me and left a mark on me. And these kids need some advice, and they'll reach out to people who are willing to help. But if you put up a defense, and I don't want to get too into detail with kids, right? They'll see that and they'll walk away. But when that kid walked into my room, that said, okay, I'm doing something right. And what I'm doing is connecting with them and providing them a safe space that they feel comfortable.
Wow, thank you for that. And I like the fact that you mentioned, you know what, when you respect them at their level, with sometimes the craziness that they have or what they're saying, and it's like, what are you talking about? But what that means, as you said, is you're building trust with them. And when they trust you, they can come to you at those moments when you really feel like, you know what, I wish they had come to me. But they can only do that if they have built that rapport and trust throughout the years and days and times. So that's, that's really good that you shared that. So now, any projects that you're working on, and what are they?
Oh, man. I've been doing a lot of collaboration. So I've already mentioned kind of new to the Instagram thing, new to the video thing. So trying to that angle to help people, trying to help parents and educators, but doing a lot of collaborative stuff with people on Instagram, and the community there has been fantastic. People messaging me back and forth and, hey, about this content, or, hey, have you thought about this? So doing a lot of collaborative stuff. We just did a recent one on how to get your family together. So I really liked that one. We did our top 3, and we shared each one over some weeks, and we got number 1 coming up soon. So that's something we're working on. In the back pocket, we're working on Connect Team number 2. So that's something that is 75% done, and I can't wait to share it once it is finished, and continue to work to my 20 plus books like Dr. Stem has definitely done and created that massive library. But you got to start with 1, and we're working on number 2. And so those are a few things that I'm working on currently.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to go into that Connecting one. That's your book. You can raise it up because I see you raising it up.
Yeah, I have it here today. This is the one. It's funny. I always get people asking, is that your family right there? Is that your kids? And it's actually not. We used to have a dog, but yeah, I guess like that. We live at the beach. We walk on the beach, but that's just not a picture of the family. I think on Connect Team 2, we might break it out and put us right on the cover. So who knows? But yeah.
That is awesome. So talk to us about a little bit about the book. What are they going to read when they pick up this book, Connect Team?
Basically 18 years of experience of specific strategies that have worked for me in education and working with teenagers. The first chapter is on respect. And I think it's funny because in looking at your book and connecting with disconnected teenagers, you use this same exact quote right there. Kids don't care how much you know, they only care how much you care about them. So I thought that was funny, but what you can expect right there, chapter 1, respect. There's actually 4 chapters in the book, patience and respect, patience, communication, and then conflict. So those are the 4 chapters that kind of get broken down as the book progresses. I would like to speak just a little bit about respect, just to kind of share some tidbits with parents so they know how that looks and how that works. But right here, in addition to the story that I try to tell with the book, I also like to just make some call outs so parents' eyes can go right to it immediately, specific strategies. And one of the things that I mentioned in helping to build respect is just listening to the kids, active listening. And you can see one of the strategies right here is, so if you're talking with your kid and they're saying something, you can respond very easily with, hey, that was awesome. That was really exciting. I'm glad you shared that with me. And that shows the teenager that you're interested in them and you're engaged in what they're saying. So a way to gain their respect rather than just be like, oh yeah, how was your day? What, right? The teenagers can read that body language instantly. They know that. So this is some things that you'd see in the book, where if you went right to that and you read those strategies, you could use those instantly. You can jump right in. So yeah, funny that I get a lot of comments on the family on the front. Is that your family? Is that your family walking on the beach? And we do live at the beach, but that's not my family, is an image used from the publisher. So yeah,
it's an incredible cover. I really like it. I really love it. So it's interesting. You're talking about respect, right? And you're talking that your example that you gave was on, a parent saying, "How was your day?" Right? Do you know how much teenagers hate that statement? How was your day?
Yes. Oh my goodness. 10 minutes later and you get a response, right? How was your day? So you have to be creative, right? And kind of keep probing them and prodding them about how was school. That never goes over well. So there's different questions that you can ask. They're in the book as well, strategies that you can use with your teenager, other than just saying, "How was your day?"
I'm glad that you covered that, because in my books I also cover a lot of that, right? Because they really hate when we are just like a broken record in every family. How was your day? So how was school? And most of the teenagers that I worked with, some of them would come in hilariously saying, "Guess what I did, doc?" I'm like, "What did you do?" I walk in the house, I'm like, "My day was good, everything was good, the teacher was good," before my mother even asked him. Like, that's rude.
Well, I think it's funny too, as a parent, right? We get so frustrated with these one-word responses, right? Of, "Oh, I did my homework, school was fun, blah, blah, blah." But we're asking the same question. I mean, we're expecting a different response. What's that saying, right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different response. With teenagers, we do the same thing. "How was your day?" And we keep on using that, but we're expecting this elaborate answer. And then we're flabbergasted when it doesn't come. We got to up our game. We have to be more creative. As a parent, as an educator, we definitely have to change how we approach kids and engage them.
You're right. And it's interesting that you say that. One of the things that I do is, as my licensed psychotherapist, I'm also an employee assistance professional. So I go into organizations when they have lost a loved one, or someone is ill in the organization, right? And this is a time of grief. And it's interesting how irate or upset employees are when, I go in there and they say, for the first time, management is bringing us somebody that can talk to us and help us with strategies on how to do the job and how to cope. And yet they don't care about us on a day-to-day basis. They don't talk to us, in a way where they are caring, and we can sense that they are caring. I say that to you as an example, right, of how parents as well, when your connection with your teenager is only when they come from school, "How was your day? How did you do in class?" That interaction, that doesn't go well, because then what they remember are those moments when all of a sudden all you do is scream and yell at them and tell them that they didn't do something right, or punish them when they do wrong. That's what they remember the most. And that's when I think most of the communication and connecting needs to happen.
Absolutely. Yes. And if that's the only interactions you're providing your teenager, it's no wonder why they're frustrated or why they're distant, right? If that's the only way. Another strategy that I wanted to share with the audience today in relation to chapter 1 in the book, in respect, and how do you gain that respect? How do you show them that you care? And I think it's very simple, right? You just show up. You do more than you have to. If they're having an event or if they're doing something important, a parent that goes to those things really shows that they care and they connect and they want to be there. They want to be that person that the teenager can come to whenever times get tough. Mitigating distractions whenever you're at home and turning off the TV, right? That's another way that you can show that you care, right? You're more interested in the teen versus what's on the TV with the news. So I read an interesting study from the Harvard Business Law article. It talked about millennial fathers and their perception of work. And it was very interesting. And it said 80% of millennial dads really want career advancement. But the interesting statistic that went with that was 4% of them, only 4%, said that they would do that at the risk of hurting family time. And I think that's fantastic. That's another way to show up and another way to show emphasis. It even went on to say that those fathers, their number one priority in success, what they feel is success, was having a very well work-life balance, a life balance that includes the family in addition to their work, so they're not at work all the time. And that's huge. That creates that connection with the teenager that shows them that they care because you're present. They just want you there. They don't care how much money you make, right? They never cared about that. Me as a teacher, oh, what school did you go? They didn't care about that, right? They wanted to know that you were interested in them, that I wanted to be there for them. And that I find that very interesting that Harvard Law study did that. And it was really good for me to see those results.
You're right. Thank you for sharing that. I have these two sentences that I'm just going to say so that you can complete them as we finish this show.
Okay.
And that's something that I just want to do on an impromptu, right? Just to come from your heart. When you hear the words "I am," how do you complete that?
I think whenever I hear those words, I think I am in a great place to help people. And I want to continue to do that through all the platforms that I've started, through my book. It really comes down to just helping people. That's something that I've always wanted to do. I am extremely helpful and honest and just reaching out and trying to help people. That's, like I said, that's why I'm here right now. I'd never be in front of a camera if it wasn't for this innate push that says you got to share what you know, you got to share with parents, you got to share with educators. Your strategies still work and they're still valuable today. So in sharing this and sharing and being here today, I feel like I am capable of continuing those helpful techniques.
I am so happy for you, sir, because the world is an oyster. Finally, I want you to complete this statement. My ultimate dream is?
My ultimate dream right now would be, I'm looking at, I got this little poster on my wall, right? And it represents less of my personal success, but more of people just reaching out and getting into what I like. And it's just 1 million copies. I really want the book to take off and find a new avenue and know that it's reached 1 million people and helped 1 million lives, and be walking down the street and somebody says, hey, I read your book and I really appreciate it. You know, if it wasn't for you, my teenager and we would just be at odds and we would have a horrible relationship. But in reading your book, which I've had some of my close friends read it, and some early adopter customers already read it, and they reach out and say, you know, I loved your message. I just really hope that it gains success and popularity, because I think that the message is clear and the value is there, and parents of teenagers are struggling, and I just want to assist them.
This is awesome. I want to thank you so much for being here today and having the courage to lead the way, because this is what our teenagers are looking for. They are looking for us to lead the way, because then when we do say to them, look, I did it, you can do it, they will be able to respect and follow what it is that we are saying. So thank you for what you're doing. I hope and pray and just know, because I was there where I started from day one. And now, you know, I mean, it's 20 plus years later of doing this here. I know it's possible. I know you can impact many lives than you can ever imagine. So I want the audience to know that I will have all the links on how to get in touch with Mr. Bernardo right underneath this show, so that you can contact him for even, you know, private coaching for all those parents that are struggling with your teenagers, and read the book. There are many tips that are shared in that book. So I will have that link at the bottom of this show. Until then, I want to continue to encourage, empower, and inspire you. And I hope this has been an inspirational show for parents of teenagers. Until then, be encouraged.
You just heard from Dr. Stem. She is opening up an opportunity for you to have unlimited access to Empowerment Hub, filled with life success resources to help you deal with stress, communication, confidence issues, career decisions, business success tips, and more. So now the only question left is, are you ready? Are you ready to tackle that one thing preventing you from achieving your highest potential? To achieve that one goal you've been chasing? To turn your dreams into reality? To finally keep that promise you've been making to yourself? Let Dr. Stem's programs be your guide to feeling more confident and fearless. Are you ready to become a Premier member for only $27 a month? That's less than a coaching session. Get unlimited access to Dr. Stem's empowerment courses, ebooks, free webinars, and more. Become a member today for only $27 a month.